say no to diabetes. Hello, my name is Geronimo Vela. I'm an anthropologist at UCLA, and I've done research that led to this short film that you are about to see, and it has to do with diabetes prevention strategies. I focused on learning from the culture of the Diné, otherwise known as Navajo, and I did it through storytelling, which is actually what we anthropologists like to call phenomenology. But traditionally, it is storytelling. And so the focus of this research as an anthropologist, and also I'm Apache, so I wanted to focus on the high rate of diabetes among the Navajo that is an astronomical rate of diabetes. So let's look at the facts. There's 80% of the Navajo population on the res is either pre-diabetic or type 1 or type 2. Now, type 1 is the more rare one, but there's a lot of, the majority of them is type 2. Now, there's a lot of pre-diabetics, so that's the important message of this film, is to get you to be aware of the health risks that you have to deal with diabetes. And I talk to your own fellow people from your own culture so that we would learn through their life experiences. Hence, storytelling. So, hope you will enjoy this film. It's a very informative film, and it's very important that you listen because there's no cure for diabetes. So, our best form is prevention. Our best way to avoid diabetes and all the health risks that go with it is diabetes prevention. And it must be applied and educated in the form of the culture. So this film not only applies to the Navajo people, the Diné, but also to all cultures around the world. It's easy to just say, medical, eat a healthy diet, exercise. Okay, yes, but how do we put that into our cultural way of life? That's the important question. So hopefully you'll enjoy this film, and let's get to it. My research has determined something that we already know. We learn through storytelling. We share our life experiences with each other so that we may learn from each other. That is the way of our culture. We must share our hardships and life with diabetes so that others may learn and do their utmost to prevent getting diabetes.
Okay, one of the things that should be done with diabetics is they need to be educated on what can happen to them if they don't take care of the diabetes. I have friends that are on dialysis because they're diabetic, they don't want to take their medications, or they don't believe that they have diabetes. So now, 3 times a week, they go on dialysis. One of the things that we don't have is education on diabetes. Of what I've learned and what my doctors have told me is Native Americans with diabetes, every 1 in 3 will have kidney failure and will wind up on dialysis if they don't take care of themselves. And that's one of the things I want to make sure too. I keep telling my friends, go see the doctor, take your medications. Some have medications, but they don't take it. They don't want to bother with the injections, the insulin injections, or taking pills, so they continue to eat. The 2 best things that you can do for a diabetic to keep it under control or to get rid of it. You can get rid of diabetes if you're type 2. But it can come back. But however, diet and exercise, the two main things that need to be done when you're a type 2 diabetic. If you don't, you'll stay a diabetic for the rest of your life. You're going to continue to have medical issues. So that's one thing that you need to do: is diet and exercise. Biggest thing in the world that you can do. It will help you. It will help others if others have diabetes and they don't have the education on it, and you do. By all means, help them. Tell them what you need. What they need to do.
Okay, so now let's get technical. Now I'm going to hit you with a little bit of the science, the medical part of it. Okay, there's type 1 diabetes, which is the more rarer. That's the one where you have to get daily shots every day. And now they have, like, you can connect an insulin pump to you. So it's attached to you and it runs into your bloodstream. So, which, nobody wants to go through that because that really affects your lifestyle. You not only have to do diet, exercise, and you have to get the insulin shots every day, or the insulin pump that pumps it. It regulates your blood sugar as it's going. And type 2 is you still have to do the diet and exercise, but it can be regulated with a pill. Plus, type 2 diabetes can also not be cured, but you can go back to not having diabetes. So after you on that regimen a while, you can go back to and you won't have diabetes anymore. So you don't want it to progress past type 2 diabetes. And then there's a pre-diabetic, but that can be maintained, with your diet and exercise. Now, I myself, I'm Native American. Also, I'm Apache, Chiricahua Apache, descendant of Geronimo. So my family has had a high triglycerides genetic thing. So I'm constantly having to watch what I eat and exercise. So what I've learned is I've tried doing let me just diet and then not really exercise that much, but it didn't work. The diet alone doesn't help it. But what I have found out is exercise on a regular basis every day. And I'm talking exercise. I'm not talking about getting in the gym and working out. I'm talking just walking. Walk as far as you can. Start off slow, but it's just the mere act of walking. Even walk around your house. If it's too hot outside, because on the res, it can get up to 120 out there sometimes. Stay in the house, have some fans, but you're constantly moving, walking around, keep your blood circulation going. Exercise is the key ingredient for preventing diabetes. You also need to eat healthy, because the more sugar you eat, it just leads to diabetes, so you're at risk for it. So that's the science of it. So there's a pill for type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is very bad. You don't want that. And if you're pre-diabetic, just watch what you eat and exercise, and you'll be fine. Also, Indian Health Services, you should go there. They have pamphlets on this, or they will counsel you, give you all kinds of information on how to prevent diabetes and how to focus on exercise and diet. Gives you a list of healthy foods you can eat that will help keep the blood sugar down. So that's the medical part of it. It's not all the way medical. Like, I'm not going to get into the details about, the glucose level in the pancreas produces the glucose. That you can learn, on your own. Just talk to medical professionals at the Indian Health Services, and if you want to know all the details. But so let's focus on diabetes prevention.
So when we talk about diabetes and its effect and its impact on Native people, you have to go, I honestly believe you have to go deeper into the root of the culture in order to get a better understanding of what that all entails. So even from the exercises, the foods, and the lifestyle, all of that has to do with the root. And, we're living in a culture where everything that is addressed, like our health issues, when we go to the hospital for whatever ailments, they don't look at the root of the problem. They look at the symptoms, and that's what they diagnose. They diagnose the symptoms. They don't diagnose the root of the cause for somebody to have diabetes. So now what we really need to do is we need to come together. We need to let each other know that it's not doomsday for us just because somebody says you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic. What we need to do is educate each other and say, yes, we understand that this is a diagnosis, but this is what you can do. You can do this on the cultural side. You can explain it in the native language and reintroduce them to their cultural lifestyle that they came from. Help them to make those connections back and help them to understand the types of cultural foods they used to eat that was very healthy according to their grandparents, according to their parents, and get them to go back out and start looking for the wild celeries and wild carrots and using the cacti to, to make their dishes that they used to eat and help them to see the difference. It's an education that has to happen, which has not been happening in order to find strategies for prevention.
What is diabetes? According to the CDC, diabetes is when your pancreas no longer secretes insulin to process your sugar to your body for energy. With diabetes, your body doesn't make enough insulin or can't use it as well as it should. When there isn't enough insulin or cells stop responding to insulin, too much blood sugar stays in your bloodstream. Over time, this can cause serious health problems such as heart disease, vision loss, and kidney disease. There are 3 types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes will require you to take insulin shots or wear an insulin pump for the rest of your life. Your body can no longer process glucose, sugar. Type 2 diabetes is the more common form of diabetes. It can be maintained with a simple pill along with eating a healthy diet and exercise. It can also revert back to non-diabetes status with medication and a disciplined diet and exercise regimen. Type 3 diabetes is the not so much in common is when a woman is pregnant and gets diabetes. It usually goes away after she gives birth. The complications of having diabetes can lead to amputations of the foot and from the knee and below. It can lead to heart attack, vision loss, and kidney disease where you end up on a dialysis machine. It is best to prevent ever getting diabetes.
It's like you can't tell someone, oh, live a healthy lifestyle when all they have is a trading post that sells canned goods, flour, sugar, things like that. You look at it, well, what's healthy here, And you got to travel miles to go to the market and bring back stuff, and a lot of people don't have refrigerators or electricity and things like that where they can keep their stuff, fresh. So you can only eat maybe good food maybe once or twice a week. And then the rest of the time, just the regular back to fried bread and beans, But the beans are good, rice is good, and maybe, some of the meat is good, but you gotta stay away from some of the other stuff, fried bread, tortillas, good to have it once in a while, but not to eat it every day, but to look at what's happening, look at our family, look at uncle's not here no more, grandma's not here no more, they had diabetes, and they could live to be a longer life, but they were affected at an age, and they're not no longer here because they don't know what diabetes is. So you have to explain it to them, and they still don't get it. So it's not until, like I say, like it's later then they see it, That's what I kind of noticed at this point in my life. I've kind of grown through all that. Didn't listen when I was younger because it's like, why should I? I like it.
So education is the key here to diabetes prevention. It's you need to learn about what you need to do, which is 2 forms of prevention. The best 2 forms of prevention are diet, eating a healthy diet, and exercise.
All I knew was that it was on on both sides of my mom's side and my dad's side, their grandparents both have it. My grandpa on my mom's side, and then my grandma and my grandpa on my dad's side both had it. And I didn't know it beyond it being a disease that was really prevalent in Native American communities. And when I got diagnosed, I didn't realize that I was having all the very typical symptoms, but I just, had no clue that it was very obvious for them to see that I had diabetes. And you can actually get down to, if you're strict enough with yourself, you can get it down to what you're doing with diet.
Yeah.
And I was told that because my pancreas doesn't produce any insulin at all, so any type of sugars that I have has to be accompanied with an insulin shot.
Let us acknowledge that the high rate of diabetes among the Diné Navajo originated with colonization of our people. The tribe does not have access to the resources to eat healthy and exercise. There is a historical trauma against our people. It is up to each and every one of you to change that statistic. Implement the diabetes prevention strategies of eating a healthy diet and regular exercise. We must not let our historical trauma affect our mortality rate.
Well, Jamie, diabetes hits very close to home with me. I have a family member that is suffering from the effects of diabetes and then all the other problems that come along with it. So he is immobile at the time and he is in a wheelchair, and the family is working on getting a van fixed so that his wife can transport him to his appointments and for travel and everything. So diabetes is a big issue on the Navajo, in Navajo country. And a lot of it comes from our diet. We have this idea, I think, that fry bread is a traditional food, and fry bread is not a traditional food. That started with the Navajo people when we were in captivity in Fort Sumner after the Long Walk in the 1860s. And I believe that the way to help ourselves is to embrace gardening and going back to the way our parents and our grandparents lived. When my mother, who is altogether she had 14 children, and there are 5 of us still living. And along with re-embracing learning how to grow our own food on Facebook this year, I see a lot of Navajo families going back to growing squash and corn. And I think we all need to embrace that practice and in the spring start, because it's a learning process. You don't grow a bountiful crop the first year that you start gardening. It takes practice, and start growing our own food And then along with the practice of growing your own food, you have to get out and take care of that field. So therefore, there comes the exercising, because we need to be less dependent upon the grocery stores, upon food stamps, and government handout. That's what's ruining the people. Is, well, a tradition with Navajo people was to get up early and run. And we need to, before you can run, you need to walk. It's to get up and get out in the morning and go for a walk. One of my sisters gets up at 5 a.m. and she goes for a walk every single morning with her dog in the dark, takes her flashlight and walks, and that's her way of trying to stay healthy. And with Navajo people, we have what we call chapter houses in each community, and that's where they have 2 meetings a month. They have a planning meeting, they have a chapter meeting. I think perhaps with our people that would be a way to get word out, to teach, and to share, to bring in speakers, and to start sharing the knowledge of this is how you compost. Start with a small garden, plant just a couple of plants, and start building on that.
Okay, so let's acknowledge that a lot of the problems, that the reason we have such a high rate of diabetes now in modern era is being due to colonization. Okay, we've been forced to go away from our traditions of our cultural way of survival, and now we have limited resources, and it's hard to be able to do exercise and eat a healthy diet. When, if you live on the reservation, it's all desert. It's hard to grow fresh fruits and vegetables in the desert. So even though modern, we're figuring out ways to do it. So plus you're on a limited resource budget. So we have to find a way to get back to that balance of our tradition and modern of being able to exercise and eat healthy at the same time. So let's not focus on the blame and who caused it, but let's move forward and work on strengthening our culture and finding ways to do diet and exercise. And you can't have one without the other. So the key important thing is exercise. So let's get back to our traditions and our culture, find that strength, and we all come together as a community and survive, prevent diabetes.
Out here, which gets like stale lettuce, untasted vegetables that have no taste or old. So a lot of people don't want to eat it. And that's like most reservations. And we went to New Mexico, Arizona last month. And we stopped at a few markets on the reservation. It's the same deal. People not going to want to eat old food, stale lettuce or old tomatoes or things like, pears that are bruised or apples that are bruised, bananas are overripe. You see a lot of that. So that's why people shy away, and there's a lot of canned food, and people think eating canned food, vegetables is healthy, but actually there's a lot of sodium in those things. So you're kind of defeating the purpose. And on top of that, they put a lot of salt on their food, and they use a lot of sugar. You see a lot of pop, a lot of candy, a lot of chips, a lot of fried foods, fried bread, things like that. So that's sort of a lifestyle of how it is on, pretty much all reservations,
We must try to develop effective economic strategies to have more income and thereby create more resources to acquire healthy foods.
And what I did is I bought a portable elliptical machine. I ordered one online. And when I was during the pandemic, I couldn't go to the gym. You know, I was going to the gym maybe 3 times a week. So I had things set up in my garage. And I'd go up there every morning and do maybe 10 minutes until I start dripping sweat, you know. Then I go in and have a salad, you know, and drink a lot of water, you know, and I'd get on my computer and do the work I had to do. And every time I felt in the mood, I'd go out to the garage and do a little bit, maybe 5 minutes, you know, not killing myself. And I was doing it every day. Well, if you're living out in the country, you know, there's always ways you can exercise. You don't have to have gym equipment, things like that. You can walk, you can run, you go places. You know, there's different things you can do. But the thing is, you know, is that it's the food that you get living in rural places, you know. Unless you have your own farm going, then you can grow, you know, what you need that you know is healthy for you. So I just stick with my elliptical because that's what you need to keep yourself kind of active. It takes a place of walking, running, and plus it makes you sweat. That's the key, is you got to work yourself to a sweat, and it takes only minutes to work up your sweat to an elliptical. So that really is beneficial to me.
You've just seen a film that we focused on bringing and sharing you the message of diabetes prevention strategies. Those 2 strategies are basically exercise regularly and eat a healthy diet. Fresh fruits and vegetables and meats that, well, stay away from the meat. No more Indian tacos and fried bread. So we want to focus on more of less sugar, right? Less sugar type foods. So, but exercise regularly, walk every day. Now, if you have access to a gym, that's great. Get in there 3 or 4 times. But you know what? You don't have to exercise an hour at a time. 15 or 20 minutes of good cardio every day, perfect. Everybody can do that. Just walk around your house for 15 or 20 minutes. Do some deep knee bends, you know, some exercises, moving your body around. That's all it takes for exercise. Keeps it going 15 or 20 minutes every day. If you could do more than that, that's great. And just eat healthier, eat them healthy foods. Indian Health Services can provide pamphlets on those type of things. They can help guide you on what healthy foods you can eat. Or if you have access to internet, you can always look it up. Google it, right? So the information is out there. So we don't want to have to deal with type 1 or definitely not type 1 diabetes. Type 2 is manageable and you can go back to normal if you stick to a good discipline of regular exercise, healthy diet, and you know, the medication that you could take. Doesn't require shots. But you can go back to not being diabetic from type 2. It is recoverable. So just remember that. So you don't want to go past type 2 to type 1. You don't want type 1 because right now there's no cure for that we know of. So focus on that healthy diet, and exercise regularly. I myself have to do it also, being Native American. I know it says that, you know, you hear in the news all the time about, oh, it's we're genetically disposed. Well, that's not true. You're not genetically disposed. Now, granted, if your parents have it, you are at risk to have it, for sure. It is a hereditary thing. But genetically, DNA, you're not just all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to get diabetes because I'm Native American. No, it's not true. Don't go fall into that myth. So I hope you enjoyed this film, and I hope it was strong enough to stress the importance of diabetes prevention strategies. And it's all about our culture, right? We need to stay with the culture. And I did this research by talking to some of you. And you gave me all the stuff that you guys go through, that you go through with struggling and having to live with diabetes, and the, you know, how it messes up your everyday life. Having to take insulin shots every day, having to count counters, you know, what, this is how much I can only eat. You know, that really puts a stress on your lifestyle and living. So let's try to avoid that. And also, you definitely don't want to be overweight. Overweight tends to make you more at risk for diabetes and stroke, heart disease, cancer, some cancers even. So, and you don't want to end up with amputations because of neuropathy, and you don't have blood going to your extremities. So you don't want that. So we don't want to lose any limbs. It's hard to run around with no limbs. So let's stay away from that. Let's focus on just getting out there, eating healthy. Let's exercise, and do it as a community. Do it as a family, because that will also bring you together. And our traditions, we used to do that. Our traditions used to do it. Yes, I get it. Colonization has changed our whole way of culture and lifestyle. Understandable, I get it. There's a trauma there, a historical trauma. But let's move past that. Let's start moving to the positive. Let's gain our strength back and not have diabetes. Right now it's 80%. Let's lower it down to 0. Of course, that is an unrealistic number, but at least let's get it lower, right? So spread the word. Watch this video, spread the word, let everybody know. Go to your Indian health services, talk to them. They are there to guide you and help you. So let's make a change. And I hope and again, my name is Geronimo Vela, and I appreciate everybody that I interviewed. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was great knowledge that I learned, and stressed the importance of it is a drain on your lifestyle, having to deal with diabetes in your family. Whether your family has it or you have it, it's a strain. So let's stay away from that. Let's prevent diabetes. And this applies to everybody around the world, not just the Diné, Navajo. So I hope that everybody will make that change. I'm trying to stay disciplined to make that change and keep that change going. So let's bring back our culture and bring back our strength and our positivity, and let's do away with diabetes. All right, so thank you, everybody.